better than girl talk? Girl talk, girl talk. What's better than girl talk? A chat with the ladies about their day, the ups and downs along the way. She's a cook, she's a chauffeur, she's a worker bee. First in the door and last to leave. Girl talk, girl talk. What's better than girl talk? Girl talk, girl talk. What's better than girl talk?
Welcome to Girl Talk. I'm Regina Ayers, and for those of you who are new to Girl Talk showcases women in the Rogue Valley who are making a difference in their communities. It is a lively discussion of the opportunities, challenges, and successes of women in their daily lives. Today we're talking about sheltering people in the Rogue Valley. My guest in episode 2 is Margarita Moody, director of the Medford Kelley Shelter run by the Rogue Retreat. The Kelley Shelter is a year-round shelter, open 7 days a week and 365 days a year. So welcome, Margarita.
Thank you.
Yeah. So first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit how you got to be the director of the Kelley Shelter?
Well, I started working for Rogue Retreat about a year ago, and my husband and I were actually in the program of Rogue Retreat in one of their subsidized apartments, and so they had a job opening as a receptionist, so I decided I was going to try and get that, and I got that position. It was part-time. It quickly worked into a full-time position to where I was the program director's assistant, and the program director is my supervisor, and she is an amazing woman. She's taught me so many things, and she will continue to teach me. And so I worked alongside of her as the shelter was, we were working to get it up and running. And so I knew a lot of what was going on behind the scenes. And so when the position opened up for the Kelley Shelter manager, they asked me if I would do it. And of course, you know, I love helping people and giving back to people who are just like me.
Great, yeah. Well, give us a little history. How long have you been working? Or how long have you been working at Rogue Retreat and at the Kelley Shelter?
So I started at the Kelley Shelter December 5th.
So recently?
Recently, yes. But I've been working for Rogue Retreat January of 2018 is when I started there.
Okay, great.
But like I said, I was in their program for over a year, and now we've moved into our own house. And
great.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. That's wonderful. So why don't you give us a little history on the Kelley Shelter? Now, our guest in the first episode was Cass Sinclair, and she manages the Ashland Winter Shelter, which is not year-round. And I have done volunteer work there and worked on other activities for the unhoused community here in Ashland. But I have no experience with the Kelley Shelter. So maybe you could tell me and the audience, you know, what's the history behind the Kelley Shelter?
Well, I'd like to tell you how we got the name. There was a gentleman named Kelley who passed away from the cold outside. And so we decided to name the Kelley Shelter after him and honor him and the people that are homeless. So the Kelley Shelter has been open for 3 years. This is our third year.
Okay.
The first year it was a little hard. We didn't really know what we were doing.
Right.
We had all volunteers, and that made it difficult. We appreciate all of our volunteers. I don't want it to ever come across that we don't. But it was really hard to keep the shelter operating and functioning correctly. So the second year, working with the city and community partners, we took their advice and we hired a shelter manager and a couple shelter staff. And we had a fire watch and paid positions. And so we were able to, in the second year with that seasonal shelter, really work out all of the quirks that we had. And so there was some funding that Access had, and Access caught wind that we wanted to do an all-year-round shelter.
So it wasn't all year-round for the first 2 years?
No.
When did it,
This last year. So when we opened it in November, that's when we started our all-year-round shelter.
So prior to being year-round, were you just a winter shelter?
Yes.
Okay, you were just
Yep.
like November to
March.
March.
End of March, yeah.
And before that, was it just a warming center? Did you have anything that housed people in Medford prior to 3 years ago?
Yes. So Rogue Retreat's been around for a long time. They have apartments, subsidized apartments.
Okay.
They have recovery houses. We have Hope Village. And so, yeah, we do every night. Rogue Retreat houses about 200 people, over 200 people. And that's all year round. And especially now that we have the shelter, it's all year round. So what was your question on the?
Well, that it's all year round now, so I don't remember what my
I know,
question
I lost
was.
it
So
too.
both of us, so let's just ask another question. So how many beds do you have?
We have 54 beds.
54, okay.
We keep those beds full every night. I have a receptionist / resource navigator, and she comes in every morning, Monday through Friday. We see what beds we have open, we fill them. We have a waiting list.
So how many people on your waiting list?
The waiting list isn't very long right now. I mean, it seems long. There's probably around 90 people on it.
Well, that sounds like a lot of folks.
It is a lot of folks. There is obviously a need for a shelter, an all-year-round shelter. We never have empty beds, I can tell you that. So there's a process, though, with it. We only take applications on Mondays and Wednesdays, and we do it at our Rogue Retreat office. And we chose to do that because there's a strategy behind it. We wanted to keep the shelter and the community around the shelter happy with the shelter being where it's at. And so we didn't want a lot of traffic.
Absolutely, yes.
And so we take all of the applications at the Rogue Retreat office on East Main, excuse me. And it has created, I'm going to mess this in.
A separation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they do the same thing here in Ashland. Yeah. They apply at the ACRC, and the shelter someplace else. Yeah.
Okay. And so they only do it Mondays and Wednesdays for a couple hours, and we do the risk assessment as well. And there's a simple application, and we do a light background check just to make sure that they're site safe, that we can put them into our shelter.
But what's the criteria for, as Cass was telling us, for the Ashland Winter Shelter, it's a low barrier. Is Kelley also a low barrier?
Yes, it's a low barrier. It's a first model shelter, so it is low barrier, meaning that you can still be have substance abuse issues or alcoholism, and we take people as they are, and we meet them where they're at. We have realized that progress looks different for everybody, and so we have a great case management program. I have a couple of peer support specialists on staff Monday through Friday, and the majority of our staff has taken this peer support training. And that peer support training, Foundations for Recovery offers that, which not too long ago, last year we took Foundations for Recovery under our umbrella, which is located directly next to our shelter. They have recovery coaches in there, so all of our guests.
Is that an addiction
Yeah,
agency?
So it is. They have coaches in there, so peer coaches. So to be a peer, to be a peer support specialist, you have to have some kind of background of like substance abuse or alcoholism, and be able to kind of mentor that person to be a good listening ear. Unfortunately, all of our staff can't be with all 54 people at once, you know, and listen to them and hear all of their stories. So it's been a great partnership to be right next to the shelter. They really get good services. I mean, we help them get their birth certificates. We help them get their IDs. We help them sign up for applications for other housing. We will take trips to the DMV, take trips to the housing authority. Whatever these people need, we want to get them to where they want to be. We realize that, you know, progress for one person is going to be completely different for the other. So to stay in the shelter, you can be at the shelter for 7 nights without any of our case management services. But on the 8th day, the 8th, and because we want people to get acclimated, you know, we want you to get there, we want you to get some sleep, get your basic needs met, take a shower, have some food, realize
So you
you're
have a
safe.
shower on site at the Kelley
Yes.
Center?
So we have 4 restrooms. We have 3 of them have showers. 1 of them is just a restroom. We have laundry.
Oh, that's great. So everything is one site.
Yep, and they can be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It does not close. They don't have to leave.
Wow, different than the winter shelter here,
Yes. There is a pretty big kitchen. Unfortunately, it's not a commercial kitchen, so we cannot cook. We don't have any volunteers on staff. The only volunteers that we do need are meal donors. We're trying to get, 30 people to donate 1 meal a month for 12 months. We're getting close to that number. and it is such an amazing thing, really, to see people in our community, other agencies, faith-based organizations come into our shelter and be able to serve the homeless community in our shelter, and just see that they're not these scary people that we've labeled them as. And it's just great to see the connection. So we can warm things up in our kitchen, but other than that, we can't really cook anything.
Yeah.
So there is a need for that. I go through laundry soap like you wouldn't believe.
I bet. So it must be a pretty big facility. Because
it's pretty big. It always could be bigger.
Right.
But,
so you got 54 beds in there. Are they bunk beds?
they're bunk beds, yes.
Okay, they're bunk beds. And is that a separate room from where your dining room is?
Absolutely. So when you walk into the shelter, it's just this long aisleway full of bunks. There's two
Okay.
offices on the side, the receptionist office, and then the case manager, peer support specialist office. And then to the left is our kitchen. We have a dining area / kind of like hangout area for our guests, and there's a computer in there, a phone, so they can get their daily business stuff taken care of. It's a really inviting, warm shelter. I've never been in a facility with 54 people that live there, and it's very calm. It's
So
peaceful.
it's their house.
It is their house. I'm really protected of their house, so I prefer, we do tours, of course, and if you wanted a tour, I would love to show you the shelter. You would just contact Rogue Retreat. But yeah, I don't let people take pictures really in there.
No.
You know, that's their space.
You have to ask permission,
Yeah.
to do that. So I really did not realize that people did not have to leave in the morning and then come back at a certain time at night. So it is, do people go, they go and come at their leisure? I mean, let's say somebody has a job. People are homeless, are working people. So they may go to a job and then they come back, or they may have a doctor's appointment that they get to and then they come back. They just have free access to come and go in the building?
Yes, but there is structure. So one of the things when you're homeless, and I've been homeless, and there was no structure for me. I didn't go to bed at a regular time. I didn't eat dinner at a regular time. And so I have there's a routine in the shelter.
Yeah.
There's 2 required meetings, and there are life skills meeting class, which every Rogue Retreat participant goes to on Monday night. Chad McComas, our executive director, he helps do that meeting. And then I have a guest house meeting on Fridays, one at 9 a.m. and one at 4 p.m. So the guests can choose which one they go to. It kind of creates the structure for them during the week. Like, okay, it's the beginning of the week I have a meeting, the end of the week I have another. They have to be in by 8 p.m. We turn our lights off around 9 or 10, depending on the day.
And is the door locked then?
And the doors are locked. We actually keep the doors locked all day, every day. And then they can leave at 6 a.m. So from the hours of 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., they're in the shelter, all of them. Now, if they get a job, which we encourage, if they work, graveyard shifts, swing shifts, whatever it is, we work with them. We just want to see their schedule and make sure they're where they're supposed to be. We encourage, we don't serve lunch, and we do so because we encourage them to get out into the community, find their resources. It helps open up conversation. Do you need SNAP benefits? What is it that you need to get you through the day? And so it's just being able to let them go and come as they please. It doesn't make them feel like they're institutionalized or have to be there.
No, absolutely. So how many staff are there in the evenings?
We at least have 2 staff.
2
on
staff
site.
people. And how about during the day?
During the day, during the week, there's quite a few staff. I would say about 6.
Oh, that's
6
a
of us,
lot.
yeah.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
And we do, and each one of our staffs, we all have our own jobs. Like, we have a hygienics person, there's a kitchen manager, a kitchen assistant, the case manager, the peer support specialist, our guest host. Really hope I'm not forgetting anyone.
Do you have 12-step programs there?
We don't. We encourage it at Foundations for Recovery right next door to us.
Next door. Okay, great.
They have meetings there. They have dual diagnosis groups, quitting smoking classes. So yeah, I mean, everything is at their fingertips at the shelter. We really want to see people progress. We had good numbers in February, about 34. Since we've opened, we've had about 34 people get jobs
Great.
We've helped 29 people move on successfully, and that means going into one of our other programs, possibly Hope Village, reuniting with family, moving into stable housing, getting their own job, getting their own place, renting their own room. We work really hard at trying to move these people forward.
So you said you had, well, you mentioned that somebody can stay there 7 days before they have to meet with a navigator. So if they choose not to meet with a navigator, do they have to leave?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
And we do that because we want to give, there are so many people on our waiting list that want that chance.
Yeah.
And so we do it that way, yes.
So, I mean, do most people meet with navigators?
We've had one person not sign up for case
well,
management.
That speaks highly of the guideline that you have
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, are there any behaviors that would get a person removed, either temporarily or permanently from the shelter?
Absolutely. To permanently be removed, there would have to be some kind of physical or sexual harassment that took place. We are working on a panel almost where people who have been, 86 exited from the shelter, that they have a chance to kind of plead their case and maybe get back onto our waiting list. Rogue Retreat is all about bringing people up and giving them a second chance. And so, yeah, so sexual harassment, physical harassment, I will ask people to leave if they bring any drugs or alcohol on the premises. It is low barrier, but we do not allow you to bring any kind of drugs or alcohol or paraphernalia. I do have a sharps container for the simple reason that I don't want people to dispose of them in any of our, restrooms or anything like that. There's no questions asked, just there's a sharps container in there. I really try, even though our shelter is low barrier, we can all kind of tell who's still using and drinking, and it really opens up conversation for us to, okay, is it time to get you over to ARC on track to do a risk assessment, or sorry, one of their assessments, drug and alcohol assessments, to get them into treatment. We've had 2 people go into residential treatment, which is huge because that's a serious commitment. I don't even know the number of how many people that we've gotten into drug and alcohol treatment, and that continue to go every day to their groups.
Right.
And so, and that's part of the program too, is sure, we don't have all of the staffing to be able to staff treatment for our guests, but we do have great resources, and so being able to get them involved in those resources has helped people succeed.
So are there men and women in the shelter?
Yes.
And is there any facility in Medford that houses families? Does Rogue Retreat do anything for families?
So we actually will take a family.
Oh, you will?
We will, yes.
Okay,
We
so you
take
can have
all
children.
ages. Yes, you
children
can.
in there.
Yes, we prefer, it's hard because if you do have a family, especially with small children, we have to have so many beds open up in the same area, because father or mother child needs to be right next to each other, because everybody counts. So like I have a 2-year-old. If my 2-year-old came to the shelter with me, I would want her to sleep with me, but she counts as a person, so she would be in a bunk next to me.
I see.
So yeah, the shelter is not really set up for huge families, but we will take them. We have a father and son. We had a family come through that had mother, father, and a 13-year-old. So we do, and it's been great. The dynamics there are really nice because we have people of all different ages, all different backgrounds, and it's fun.
Yeah. Well, I know it's a tremendous service, sheltering people, and the fact that you have 90 people on your wait list means there's still a lot of people out there in Medford that don't have shelter.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the wintertime or, year round. In the summers, it's not as dramatic, but I know that people have died here over the years from being outside at night. Yeah, and as you mentioned, your shelter is named after someone that did die that way. Yeah. So you're sponsored by Rogue Retreat, the Kelley shelter. What are some of the other services that Rogue Retreat offers in Medford?
So one of my favorite services that they offer is Hope Village. It's our tiny house program, and that is a low barrier facility too. It has 30 tiny houses in there, and couples can go in it. They don't accept children there, and it's kind of its own hybrid, its own unique program. They have case managers there. There's someone on site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a challenge to get that up and running.
It was.
But Rogue Retreat persevered to make that happen. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that there was going to be another site, a second Hope Village. Is that true? Another piece of property that the city might be offering?
I don't know much about that.
Maybe that was a rumor.
I don't know if it is. I don't want to say yes or no.
But
I know all about the shelter.
Yeah, but you were saying something about Grants Pass, that
Yes.
you actually do things up in Josephine County.
So they're working on Foundry Village over in Grants Pass, and I don't know all the details with Foundry Village, but I know that they're working very hard to get a tiny village up there. So,
What about Ashland?
We love Ashland.
Good.
We do have
So
all
that's a
of Rogue Valley.
possibility.
Yeah.
So I know that I asked Cass in the earlier program if you guys were collaborating with each other, being the two organizations, Aura and Rogue Retreat, that offer services for the unhoused. So what are some things that you think you might be able to work together with? Maybe Cass, because you're both responsible for a shelter.
Yeah, I'm so new to the shelter. I've only been working there, since December, and so I'm really trying to get connected with other shelters and see what they're doing. So one of the things that I'd love to know is kind of just how her basic day and night runs at the shelter. Learning what other shelters do is going to help me do my job. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess those are questions for our board, how we can collaborate with them. But
yeah. Well, I know that there's a task force, the Jackson County Homeless Task Force. And do you participate in that, or somebody from Rogue Retreat, I'm sure, attends those?
Yeah, we normally do have somebody there. I have not gone yet, but it is in discussion that I should be going to that.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I think Cass attends, or somebody from ORA, Options for Helping Residents of Ashland, attends that. I used to attend that for ORA when I was on their board, yeah. So that when you look at all the people around the table at a meeting like that for Jackson County, there are a tremendous amount of resources that are available for people in need. Food programs. When I started going to that, there were no shelters in Ashland or in Medford. So there was, Ashland had a couple of nights, nothing official. And so things have dramatically improved. Yeah.
Yes. One of my favorite partnerships that we have right now is with Medford Police Department. They have a group of police officers. They call them the Livability Team. And they were created to help kind of clean up the Greenway. And not necessarily like throw everybody off the Greenway, but actually help these people get into some kind of housing, help these people get, whatever their basic needs, get those met, help them get IDs, get in touch with their probation officer, whatever it is. They have been really great at coming to the shelter and checking in with us every day, making sure that we're okay.
Great.
They're a phone call, text call away, and so they've been really helpful with the shelter.
Yeah, the police departments in both of Medford and Ashland, have the training. They're getting more and more training on how to de-escalate situations so that people don't have to be arrested, because many of the people that live on the streets and live in the shelters have mental illness, and that's a real factor in how they got to where they are. And do you guys work with Compass House at all? Do you?
I would say yes, we do. We definitely send people over to Compass House. And so our case management program, just to kind of explain how it works, is the case manager meets with each individual once a week, and she kind of creates this like roadmap for them. So what is keeping you homeless? What are the barriers that are keeping you on the streets? And if it's mental illness, okay, then maybe we need to get you in touch with, Options, Columbia Care, Compass House, whoever it is that can help you. And then, or is it drugs and alcohol? Is that what's keeping you? on the streets. And so we really dig deep and identify those pieces. And so I really look at our whole community as our partner in the shelter. I mean, everybody has been so supportive, so helping. I have people from On Track, people from ARC who come into the shelter once a week and do some outreach there. I mean, they'll take people to do assessments, whatever it is. I'm working on getting a mental health provider to come in and do some outreach there as well.
Great.
Because unfortunately, we're just not staffed to be able to meet those needs. And so it's just, it is nice that the community really wants to help the homeless population. So it makes our job easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really is a collaboration. And you mentioned earlier reducing the fear factor of the general public from the homeless community, you know. And before I got involved, I didn't know anything about that community of people. And we have a lot of people here in Ashland have been homeless here for a decade.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, they are part of our community, and we need to help them be more of a part of our community rather than being afraid of them.
One of the ways that we kind of helped reverse that vision of what the homeless population, who they are and what they've done to the community is Rogue Retreat created Clean Sweep. And so Clean Sweep, yeah, it's a great program. Basically what it is there's a gentleman who runs it, and he gathers some of the homeless community, and they go out and they clean the streets.
Great. But you know, we've run out of time. I can't believe it. It went so
that's
fast.
okay.
No, that's a great program. I heard about that.
Yes.
So thanks so much for being on the program, Margarita.
Thank you.
And good luck in your challenging job there at the Kelley shelter. So thank you very much for coming.
Very much.
Yeah, that's all the time we have today on Girl Talk. And Margarita joined us from the Kelley shelter in Medford, Oregon. And many thanks to our volunteer crew, Wanda, our director, John, Gary, David, and Sophia. And Girl Talk can be seen on Rogue Valley TV Channel 15 with Ashland HomeNet, or Channel 182 with Spectrum at 3 p.m. on Saturdays and 6:30 p.m. on Thursdays, or on demand online at roguevalleytv.sou.edu. I also have a YouTube channel. It's YouTube Regina Ayers. And Girl Talk can be found, all of the Girl Talk episodes can be found on that channel. And you can also get links to another program that I have here at Rogue Valley TV. It's a Getaway Girl. It's a travel show. And also, there's a song list there, including the songs that I have written and recorded, like the Girl Talk theme song that you heard at the beginning of the show, and you will hear at the end of the show. So thanks very much for being with us today, and we hope that you learned something new and that you'll join us again soon. So bye.
Girl talk, what's better than girl talk? Girl talk, what's better than